Manipur's lost generation. Growing up under arms, for more than 3 years, Manipur has lived through fear, uncertainty, and division. Since the outbreak of ethnic violence in May 2023, thousands of families have been displaced, communities have been separated, and trust between neighbors has been deeply damaged. Even today, many people continue to live in relief camps or far from the homes they once knew. Children have seen their education disrupted. Businesses have suffered. Families who once lived side by side now find themselves divided by fear and mistrust. Now, another troubling reality is emerging. In this video, groups of young men from tribal communities can be seen gathering in large numbers. They appear to be taking part in drills, field exercises, and weapons training. Some are marching in formation. Others are learning how to handle firearms. For many viewers, these scenes may raise difficult questions. Why are so many young people choosing this path? To understand the present, it is important to understand the wider context. For decades, Manipur has been home to multiple political and ethnic movements with differing aspirations. Various Naga insurgent groups have pursued the idea of a greater Nagalim, seeking the integration of Naga-inhabited areas across state boundaries. Several Meitei insurgent organizations have historically advocated independence from India. Meanwhile, many Kuki-Zo groups have called for a separate administrative arrangement to address their political and security concerns. These aspirations, grievances, and competing visions have shaped Manipur's political landscape for generations. While the causes are complex, the consequences have often been the same: prolonged instability, insecurity, and hardship for ordinary people. Against this backdrop, the violence that erupted in 2023 has further deepened divisions and heightened fears across communities. For some, the answer may lie in fear and insecurity. In times of conflict, many feel that they must be prepared to defend their villages, families, and communities. When people believe that protection is uncertain, they often look for ways to protect themselves. In such circumstances, the decision to take up arms is often seen not as a choice, but as a necessity. Yet there is also a deeper concern. Every young person carrying a weapon is a young person whose future is being shaped by conflict rather than opportunity. These are young men who could be studying at universities, learning trades, building businesses, pursuing careers, or helping develop their communities. Instead, many are spending their most formative years preparing for uncertainty and conflict. The consequences extend far beyond the present moment. When a generation grows up surrounded by violence, fear can become normal. Suspicion can replace trust. Young people may begin to see armed preparedness as a way of life, rather than a temporary response to extraordinary circumstances. History offers many examples of societies that have struggled with this challenge. Once weapons become deeply embedded in everyday life, rebuilding peace becomes far more difficult. The scars of conflict can remain long after the fighting has ended. At the same time, it is important not to oversimplify what we see. The young men in this video are not merely participants in a training exercise. They are sons, brothers, students, and members of communities that have experienced loss, uncertainty, and fear. Understanding their motivations does not mean endorsing violence. It means recognizing the reality that many communities believe they face. Addressing those fears honestly and fairly is essential for any meaningful peace process. The greatest tragedy of any conflict is not only the lives lost today, but also the future that is lost tomorrow. Across Manipur, countless young people have already had their lives disrupted. Education has been interrupted. Career opportunities have been delayed. Dreams have been put on hold. Some have grown up knowing little other than tension, checkpoints, displacement, and uncertainty. Perhaps the greatest danger is that conflict begins to shape the identity of an entire generation. A society's future depends on its youth. When young people spend more time preparing for conflict than preparing for life, everyone pays the price. As viewers watch this footage, the focus should not only be on the weapons or the training. The bigger question is, what kind of future awaits these young people and the state they call home? Will Manipur continue down a path of mistrust, segregation, and militarization? Or can its communities find a way to rebuild relationships, restore confidence, and create conditions where young people no longer feel compelled to prepare for conflict? The answer will not come easily. Peace requires courage. It requires leadership. It requires justice, dialogue, and a willingness to acknowledge the fears and aspirations of all communities. Most importantly, it requires a shared belief that the next generation deserves something better than the violence of the past. Because the young people seen in this video are more than symbols of a conflict. They are the future of Manipur. Whether that future is defined by division or reconciliation will depend on the choices made today. And perhaps that is the most important message this video leaves us with. Not a story about weapons, but a reminder of how urgently Manipur needs peace. What happens when peace eventually returns? Will these young people be able to return to their studies, their careers, and their ordinary lives? History shows that rebuilding communities after conflict is never easy. Roads and buildings can be repaired, but restoring trust between people often takes much longer. The challenge before Manipur is not only to end violence, but also to create opportunities for its youth. Education, employment, dialogue, and reconciliation will be just as important as security measures. The future of Manipur will not be decided by weapons alone. It will be shaped by whether the next generation is given hope, purpose, and a reason to believe in a peaceful tomorrow. For now, the images in this video serve as both a warning and a reminder. A warning about the cost of prolonged conflict, and a reminder that every young person deserves a future defined not by fear and division, but by peace, dignity, and opportunity.